thinking they are trick-or-treat with you guys are here.
You want to trick-or-treat with us? Why?
Oh, you know, the federal government.
Okay, so this is a Patreon request, and the request was to do a video on Kenny and why he's been so out of focus in the later seasons. Alright, here we go. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about South Park, or more specifically, Kenny McCormick. Wow, it's been like a while since I did a Kenny video. Wait, I did that one on Butters, Kenny, and Cartman. Does that count? No, because it was primarily on Butters. Alright, then I guess that means Kyle's getting one next. You guys got any good discussion topics? Now, South Park is a show about 4 main boys, or 5, because I count Butters, even if he's a pseudo-main character. However, in recent years, the show has more so been about Kyle, Cartman, and Stan, and usually Butters. Who are we forgetting in this equation? Kenny. Yes, Kenny does occasionally get big moments, like the second best adulthood in the future specials, or helping Cartman out with the not Casa Bonita restaurant, but many episodes will go by where Kenny won't do anything but stand there, menacingly, plotting to destroy the world deep within that stupid hood of his. He won't even talk sometimes. Heck, there's many episodes where Kenny doesn't even appear. In season 20, for instance, he did like nothing. He only appeared like once, and that was a super quick blink and you'll miss it cameo. You know, when the girls break up with their boyfriends to send a message? Kenny had a girlfriend. Last time he had one, she gave him syphilis. Many fans have wondered why Kenny doesn't get a lot to do nowadays, and I gotta say, while I'm disappointed, hearing behind the scenes, I kinda get why. Kenny, in many ways, is kinda like Boomhauer from King of the Hill. As in, at first, he was really meant to be nothing but a quick joke. Like how Boomhauer's jokes revolve around his voice and his lady man's attitude, with Kenny, it's his parka, his immortality, his poverty, and his horniness. And when those jokes wore thin, that meant that the crew sort of ran out of material to do with him. But because he was a main character, they were obligated to keep him around, both by the network and the fans, especially after South Park made the move to satirizing current events, where Kenny didn't really fit into any of the ones they chose. International events, pick Kyle. Anything bad or explosive, pick Cartman. Stuff affecting the average person, pick Stan. Anything else, pick Butters. Kenny, they did a NASCAR episode on him, which I forget about. Like, I thought the Whale Wars episode I forgot about. I guess maybe a different current event you could say is unaffordable housing, but they already did that plot line with Cartman and his mother. And I have to say, even if I hate to say it, in a way, the show could survive without Kenny. They did for a little while. Now this doesn't mean I hate Kenny. I do think we need more Kenny-based episodes, especially involving his brother Kevin. Episodes like Dick and Boss and Going Native showed they could still do Kenny material, but let's see why Kenny isn't really in focus anymore. So let's discuss. South Park was primarily based on Matt and Trey's childhoods, with both of them growing up in Colorado and meeting in college, while Kyle and Stan and their families are based on how Matt and Trey were as kids and their eventual friendship as adults. Kenny was based on one of Trey Parker's friends. In most neighborhoods, especially the suburbs, there's always the idea of there being a poor kid, or the kid whose parents earn next to nothing, or nothing compared to the rest of the neighborhood. I only specify suburbs because my school district was so poor that we were pretty much all the poor kids. My high school was one of the few in the district to still give free breakfast and lunch to the entire student population, even if most schools stopped serving breakfast after 8th grade, just because pretty much everybody qualified for either free or reduced lunch. We were lucky. Wait, crap, my nostalgia is showing and it's not for Kenny. Crud. Kenny's real-life inspiration was also named Kenny. I'm not sure if his name was Kenny McCormick, though. I mean, maybe it could have been. Real-life Kenny was poor and almost always wore a giant, oversized orange parka, much like Cartoon Kenny. Like Cartoon Kenny, it also muffled his speech, or at the very least, it made it very hard for him to be understood.
Hey, look! I think Kenny's okay!
And Another trademark thing was that real-life Kenny would often miss school for long periods of time, and the kids would always joke that, oh, he's missing school because he died, but then he'd always come back soon after. I know a few kids who did that, like outside of college, and strangely, they never got held back or anything, even if they just missed school to miss school, not because they, like, broke a bone or got sick or anything. No inside joke, though. It was awful. All of this led to the creation of Kenny McCormick. He was the poorest kid in school. He lived in the poorest part of town.
And then Mama cries, 'cause if it's one thing that she don't need, it's another little hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. Shh, Cartman! What?
And a running gag was that Kenny would die at least once an episode, often in a violent manner, which would cause Stan and Kyle to always remark,
Oh my god, they killed Kenny! You bastards! What? Who? They did. Who's they? You know, they. They're bastards.
only for the next episode to have Kenny come back no worse for wear, and the cycle to repeat. Until the end of season 5, there were only 2 episodes where Kenny didn't die in the end. Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo, because it was Christmas.
Something feels unfinished. What could it be?
And Rainforest Man Forest, because his girlfriend performed CPR.
Help him! What? Help him? Ah! Come on, Benny! Breathe! Whoa, dude!
Sucks he eventually broke up with her because he died of spontaneous combustion. Chump. Now, to be fair, this was one of the funniest jokes of the whole show, and one of the most trademarked parts about South Park. Heck, they even make it, like, clever in a way. Like in Super Best Friends when Stan and Kyle are able to find each other, Marco Polo style, because of their catchphrases.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! Kyle? Oh my god, they killed Kenny! Oh my god, they killed Kenny!
But before Mysterion rises, the show tried to explain why Kenny constantly died. In Cartman joins Nambla, Kenny finds out that his mother is pregnant again, and knowing how drunk and neglectful his parents can be, he doesn't want a younger sibling, because he'll more than likely be forced to take care of it.
Yup, it's for sure. Don't be out too late, Kenny. We need to start moving stuff out of your room.
Oh my god, they killed Kenny!
Bad, baby! Bad!
But Karen is technically a retcon. For all of y'all who complain about retcons, she is a walking, talking retcon. He tries to kill his mother, or force her to miscarry, whichever comes first.
Oh, hi, Kenny. What are you doing? What are you doing, Kenny? Kenny, what are you going to plunge?
Only he dies before he can accomplish this, and his sibling is born shortly after. But the baby seems to be pretty much like Kenny in more ways than one, that his parents decide to do the Scottish thing and name their new child in honor of his deceased older brother, which implies...
Yes. Kenny's such a great name. My little Kenny. A brand new Kenny.
God, this must be the 50th time this has happened.
52nd.
Oh crap, that doesn't apply. That just says. Heck, Cartman's Mom Part 2 kind of implied that sometimes he just reappears after the episode is over, and nobody ever really notices.
Man, this feels like the longest minute of my life. Oh, hey, Kenny.
But while Kenny did get focus from time to time, in most ways, he was either a joke character or a plot device. Like in Spontaneous Combustion, he doesn't do anything beyond get set on fire in the first scene.
Oh my god, they killed Kenny! What the hell happened to him? He just ignited.
While the boys focus on reenacting the Stations of the Cross, the only impact his death actually has is bringing Randy into the episode and the titular conflict to light. But even then, his death is quickly glossed over.
That's why I've assembled this crack team of scientists to find out the cause of the phenomenon. You are the best scientific mind South Park has to offer.
Mayor, I'm a geologist.
Still, in many ways, Kenny was as much a joke character as he was a main character, where it's hard to understand him unless you have closed captions. So they were able to get away with a lot, especially cursing, because they never had to bleep him out. If you want to do his voice,
Just carry your voice and talk into it. Ever listen to you actually make some pizza bagels? It's been like a few days.
until, much like Boomhauer, the audience grew used to him, and they had to go beyond that, which which even happened in later seasons. I like how when Obama wins, when nobody understands Butters when he has his allergic reaction, but they can understand Kenny perfectly.
What? Red. Oh, Red Lobster.
Fun fact, both are voiced by Matt Stone.
I'm delighted to hear about that. And in here, sometimes you can kind of hear it.
Kenny, what did I say about the funny voices? Oh crud, I don't want to get hit again. Which, I hate to say it, but Kenny dying and being away for super long periods of time almost felt like they were preparing us for what was going to come. Because a joke can only go so far. And what do you do when a joke becomes as stale as a 3-week-old potato chip? And this is before every show has to get dark as it progresses. Kill it off in the most dramatic way possible. In the aptly titled Kenny Died, the boys are lighting cow makings on fire.
Alive! You've had that cough a while, Kenny. You okay? Whoa, I'm cold.
Tissue? Kenny stops coming to school, and the boys actually notice for once. Weirdly, they do. Eventually, the boys are called into Principal Victoria's office, where their parents are gathered, and they learn that Kenny is dying, and he has an incurable disease, which I don't know how true this is, but I heard it was muscular dystrophy. And I did research, yes, apparently it is fatal, but not at the rate the episode makes it out to be. But hey, drama! So he is going to die very soon, and the boys are told they have to be ready and be strong for their friend.
Wait, Kenny's going to die?
He might, Kyle.
But he's our friend.
Kenny's death, for perhaps the first time in the series, is played dead straight, pun not intended, and he is really suffering. But like usual, Kenny's death is still a plot device, because it's mostly just a way to see how people react to it. Like, we get no care, like, oh, does Kenny have to pretend he's fine for his friends even though he's in constant pain? Is he upset he can't grow up and have a family? I don't know. No, we're gonna focus on his friends. Like, Stan can't bear to see him or pretend he's fine. Kyle is upset, but he's trying to be there.
And what are we supposed to do, huh? Stand in that room and keep making small talk? Make believe like everything's okay? I can't do it! Look, however hard you think it is for you, it's a lot harder for him. Just leave me alone!
And Cartman is actually so sad that he's trying to find a way for stem cells to cure Kenny.
Dan and Kyle have always sort of been two best friends, you know? And well, I don't know if I ever told you this, Kenny, but I kind of always thought you were my best friend.
And when they become banned, because this was back when George Bush was still in office, he lobbies Congress to get them legalized, using Kenny being on his deathbed as a pathos to get people to listen. Still, Kenny does get a few funny moments, like how he gets a visit from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and because he wants a cure for a disease and not a trip to Amsterdam to meet his favorite author, or an all-expense-paid vacation at Disney, they try to offer him the chance to meet Madonna, which he isn't a fan of.
He said Madonna's an old anorexic who wore her welcome years ago, and that now she suddenly speaks with a British accent and she thinks she can play guitar and she should go herself.
Should I come in now?
Not quite yet.
Wow, dude. But I'm surprised he's not on a first-name basis with them at this point. Like, oh, Kenny, what are you dying from this time?
Muscular dystrophy.
Oh, muscular dystrophy? Well, that sucks. What do you want this time? A new bike? A treehouse? Dan is upset at Kenny's imminent demise until he has Chef talk with him about why you lose the people close to you. In the same spot where Kenny first got sick. That's good symbolism.
If you want to make a baby cry, first you give it a lollipop, then you take it away. If you never give it a lollipop to begin with, then you would have nothing to cry about.
It's true, I love lollipops. Stan, did you not hear what Alistair says about smiles?
A smile is a valuable tool. It inspires your friends, keeps your enemies guessing, and ensures you're the one in control.
Do it. Smile all blankly, like a Stepford wife on her wedding night. For your dying friend. Eventually, Stan musters up the courage to see Kenny, but finds his hospital bed empty. Hey, that rhymes. Oh, don't worry, he went quick and without fuss.
He just stopped breathing. Did he say anything before he went? He just said, "Where's Stan?"
He lay there dying with my father and mother. His very last words were, "Where is Stan? Turn it off like a light switch." But to be fair, this wasn't always in the cards. I mean, the plan was always to kill off a main character, but Kenny wasn't that character. For about a year prior to the episode, they actually planned to kill off Kyle. Yep, Kyle, or write him off by having him and his family move away. Depends on the source. But if the last one is true, it's good to know Smuggler seemed to have referenced this idea. Their reasoning was that they believed Stan and Kyle were too similar, especially early on, and they wanted to make room for Butters to come in as a main character. Ultimately, Kyle was spared when they realized Kyle had gotten enough characterization to differ from Stan. But why pick Kenny? Well, they started to find Kenny harder and harder to write for, as they had to kill him off once an episode, and they thought one way to keep the show fresh was to kill him off permanently, and replace him with Butters, who was slowly working his way to becoming a main character and a fan favorite. Kenny Dies plays Kenny's death dead straight, again, pun not intended, with all of the dramatic trappings, anti-humor, and deconstruction such a topic would realistically produce. Heck, one big rule was that they had to try as hard as possible not to include jokes, as inspired by a Terry Gilliam Monty Python sketch that never came into fruition, where they had to go as long as possible without telling a single joke.
Who sure could use that baby more than you could. The stem cells from your fetus could help save his life.
Oh, well, I guess we can always just make another one.
Oh, Mark, I love you.
All right!
Hey, anti-humor is great, even if they don't mean for it to be, usually. And speaking of, Shakey's Pizza. I know I've referenced it in my videos a lot, and I have news to report. Apparently they're only in California, meaning that as a Jersey person, I will never be able to try one. Is there one in Anaheim? I might be going to Anaheim in August. Now I gotta add it to my list, along with Luby's. But Kenny was killed off, and Butters got his own episode immediately after, called Butters' Very Own Episode, which was to set him up as a main character and introduced us to his crazy family. Linda, a quiet, submissive, kooky housewife, and his father, a kooky house husband, Steve and Chris. And hey, it worked. Butters was a main character. Unfortunately, many fans were still disappointed that Kenny was killed off, and the show's attitude to the situation didn't really help.
Hey, fellows! Hey, Kenny. No, gosh darn it, my name's not Kenny. Kenny's dead, and you're all gonna have to learn to deal with it. Okay, not Kenny.
In the episode that aired immediately after Kenny's death, or was meant to air, because it was first in production order, so usually South Park goes by production order, they even made fun of it.
Hey, Kenny. That's awesome, Kenny. No, gosh darn it, fellas, my name's not Kenny. Kenny's dead. Okay, not Kenny.
Heck, one way the boys would blackmail Butters would be to compare him to Kenny. Like, why can't you be like your older brother? Especially whenever Butters tried to stand up for himself. Fan outrage continued, and then the impossible happened. It seemed like they would bring Kenny back. But it depends on the source once again. Some say that Comedy Central forced their hand. Others say it was fan outrage. Others say that Comedy Central forced them to do it because of fan outrage. While a fan question on South Park Studios said that Matt and Trey were the ones behind the change, believing that things would improve if Kenny was back. With these types of scenarios, I like to think it's always a mix between them. Like, many fans convinced Comedy Central, but Matt and Trey didn't want to do it. But hey, maybe they came to agree with fans and the network, and they eventually relented. Of course, don't take my word as gospel, this is all just speculation. Now, I hate to say it, rewatching season 6, I didn't really miss Kenny. I think part of that is because the episodes were still funny enough on their own, because we got a lot of standouts, like the Death Camp of Tolerance, Child Abduction is not funny, Bebe's boobs destroy society, or kinda like Venture Brothers did with Brock joining Sphinx, they included Kenny's presence enough that it was like he was never gone. Like in A Ladder to Heaven, when the boys try to redeem their offer for a candy shopping spree, only Kenny had the coupon on his person when he died, and you need the coupon to redeem the prize. When their parents tell them that Kenny's spirit is in heaven, probably building a chocolate chip factory with Saddam Hussein, and an urn houses his mortal remains, they get pissed.
Kenny? Kenny? Is he in there? I can't see. God damn it, this isn't even good chocolate milk mix!
And Cartman thinks that Kenny's ashes are instead chocolate milk mix, so he drinks them up and replaces the real one with kitty litter.
Yeah, not bad.
Ew, that's such a desecration of my own kind. Yeah, Carol put it best.
You did, dude! You drank his whole body! Shut up!
Oh my god, this is awful and disgusting
While the others try to build a ladder to heaven to go see Kenny, this inspires all of America to take in the good work and sweetness of the boys, since they don't want to tell them they can't see their friend ever again, along with a pervert dude.
It shows how beautiful the innocence of a child really is.
A ladder to heaven, that's fucking stupid.
And for the Japanese to try to beat the boys by building their own ladder. Why the Japanese and not the Russians? I really don't know.
And now for the weather in heaven, let's go to Natsuko Step.
Today weather in heaven, partly cloudy.
That's the news from heaven.
Stuff happens, and the boys actually manage to make it to the clouds. But there's no pearly gates, no exorcist angels, nothing but clouds. But I think Cartman puts it best.
You only see them if you really believe in them. What? You know, maybe we're not seeing heaven because one of us is a J-O-O. What does me being a Jew have to do with anything?
Too bad we aren't going by realism here, or they would be freezing to death. The parents try to tell them that they'll never reach Kenny by showing them his ashes.
When you die, your body is put into a broiling oven and cooked until you're nothing but ashes.
For God's sakes, why?
Kyle, it's just what some people do.
Are you gonna burn me? Jesus Christ!
Only the episode is able to pull out a pretty good message about not trying to dwell on what happens after death. Perhaps rather than try to get into heaven, we should do what Belinda Carlisle says and make heaven a place on earth. Fudge, now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head. First it happened with Handmaid's Tale, then Firehouse Sub at the Hard Rock and AC, and now this. Still, around the halfway mark, starting with the biggest in the universe, they tried to have a background subplot of Kenny trying to return. For example, in that episode, his spirit is messing up Cartman's life, so this leads into the main plot of John Edwards being a scam artist, as they try to get on his show to find out why Kenny is trying to contact his friends. And when that doesn't work, Shiv has to take Cartman and Leanne to his parents' house in Scotland.
Well, come on, the swords in here and panicking now. It's going to the light.
Nice grip. No wonder the Loch Ness Monster keeps begging for $3.50. He don't mean $3.50, he means $350.
Spirit, come out the window, I'll give you $3.50.
Now, don't go offering to sow no $3.51.
I'm just trying to persuade you.
Well, you could at least start at a bottle of fire or something.
They are able to extract the spirit of Kenny from Cartman, which somehow reminds me of Cartman giving birth or taking a huge crap.
God damn it!
Oh, Thomas, don't let it get on the curtain.
Don't know why. Maybe it's the women's intuition in my ovaries. Unfortunately, Chef did not know to bring a victim child.
No, the child that we sacrificed so we can put Kenny's soul into its body.
Oh, Lord, they didn't bring a victim child. We weren't gonna ask you where you got it from.
Tusk. So Kenny's spirit transfers into a pot roast that his mother made.
I guess the child's a pot roast now.
Well, I'll wrap it up with some plastic wrap so you can take it home with you. Should last a few months in the freezer.
No, now it'll never get eaten, and it looks so good. And when they fly back to South Park, they unfortunately leave it at the baggage claim.
We better get Kenny back to his parents. Wait a minute. Who's got the pot roast?
I thought you got it.
It's still a baggage claim.
Oh, damn it. Come on. We gotta find him. Kenny!
Which is why I will never check a bag. Cost aside, because I'm cheap as hell, I am terrified they'll lose my bag, and I'll lose all my cool stuff. The pod roast is taken by Rob Schneider, before he ruined whatever remaining legacy he had before Norm of the North. However, Kenny's spirit eventually has its own journey, and returns to life, with the episode Red Sleigh Down, although he doesn't appear to like the end.
Hey guys, what's going on? Oh, hey Kenny. Dude, where have you been? Well, come on, we gotta tell you what happened. I'm sure glad it's over with. Yeah, but I feel like things are finally back to normal. Ugh.
However, after Kenny came back, a certain trend emerged, where Kenny becomes more of a supporting character in his own show, where he's there, you know he exists, he talks and gets lines, but the focus isn't on him. At the worst of times, he feels like Globgor felt in Star Versus, like a sexy lamp. Like in some episodes, if you cut him out, you wouldn't lose anything. And if I had to guess, I think it's because 1, Kenny is hard to write for, they admitted as much, and 2, perhaps it's out of spite for being forced to bring him back. Like, oh, you want Kenny back? Okay, here he is. Look, he's right there. Just being Kenny. You got your wish. Even the show referenced it in The Jeffersons, where they try to get Blanket away from his father and have Kenny swap places.
Alright, dude, get in his bed. Alright, but you guys owe me for this. Dude, whatever, at least you finally get to do something.
Interestingly, Blanket's father, who is totally not Michael Jackson, must have facial blindness or some crap like he's Brad Pitt because he doesn't notice the resemblance, or care that he killed a kid who, as far as he knows, is his own son. To be fair, I do think Kenny does get his own episodes plenty of times. The problem is either the focus is on his poor luck when dealing with death, his poverty, or his various personas, not Kenny himself. Like, Kenny really got flanderized. Like in Best Friends Forever, where he becomes Terry Schiavo 2.0, or The Poor Kid, where he and his siblings get moved into a foster home after their parents get busted for a meth lab.
Isn't enough? But the children in this home live in a world of neglect.
Oh, toxic, traumatic home environments. It seems almost nostalgic. I also like how this implies Kenny is the cycle breaker of the family, like he's the Maribel Madrigal, and it kind of explains his future. However, it's nice to see how he uses his Mysterion persona to help his family.
Oh God, I'm so nervous. These kids all seem kind of mean.
I'll see you at recess, right?
Oh, no, cool. You've already been here a while, Kenny, so you have to introduce me to your friends, okay?
I mean, we already know he threatens his parents to stop doing drugs, but he also uses it to help his siblings in a difficult time. Like the implication he uses Mysterion constantly to help Karen as a guardian angel, especially before they got moved.
Oh, it's you. I was wondering when you'd appear. You always come when I'm sad.
Because Karen adjusted the worst out of everybody to the Weatherheads, or how he beats up a bully who threatens her, and uses fireworks to scare her away.
Karen McCormick is off limits. Do you understand? Make sure everybody in this school knows.
Wow, Kenny is still using those damn fireworks. Kenny, what did Cartman say?
I don't have time for this.
Fireworks are illegal! Hey, he's got fireworks!
Good callback, though. In the end, when the foster parents turn out to be abusive monsters, he puts a stop to it.
What did he do, Kenny? Kenny?
By turning them wet trash. In trouble via Pabst Blue Ribbon. This is why I don't drink beer. I am normal trash, but I am not white trash. I might be fat, but I'm not Honey Boo Boo. Or in Major Boobage, where he gains an addiction to cat pee, because each time he inhales it, he goes into this trippy world with a rotoscoped lady with big mommy milkers. Wait a minute, is that why y'all call me Mama Kitty? I thought it was because of my maternal influence and dashing intellect. In fact, while they're both high off their asses, he gets into a fight with Gerald, who championed for a bill to ban cats in the town of South Park, including Kenny's cats.
Dad? Dad, what the hell are you doing?
They've been going at it for a good 30 minutes.
And he's a recovering cat pee addict himself, because he couldn't make it a law that all cats have to be spayed or neutered. Wouldn't that make more sense? I'm just saying, doing that makes cats less aggressive, and the reason the male cats pee is because their territory is threatened. Plus, there wouldn't be as many cats in the system, so you'd have an easier way of controlling the quote-unquote substance. But no, you gotta be extra special, don't you? Then there's one of my personal favorites, going native. I actually like this episode more because I travel a lot. I use the word Hallie to refer to somebody who's a tourist, but they don't know how to tourist properly. Butters is sent by his parents to complete a rite of passage at his birthplace of native Hawaii. Guys, he's a native Hawaiian! His family knew Elvis back in the Cocoa Palms Resort, which is a huge thing, I heard. Like, Trey Parker used to own a house in Hawaii, and that's how this whole episode came about. And apparently his parents did hang out in Cocoa Palms. The boys assume he's talking crazy, especially because he's been acting angry as of late, so they send Kenny to bring him home.
Kenny, you're clearly his best friend. Go stop him. I'm not his best friend. Yeah, Mr. Perfect, go rescue Butters.
Feed the fish.
If I die, let me die, but let him live, bring him home. That was awful. But Kenny realizes how much this trip means to Butters and accompanies him.
I can't do anything right. Oh, no! I have to go to Hawaii, Kenny. I have no idea what's waiting there for me, but I can't go on like this.
Now, I want to point something out. Earlier in the episode, Butters acted like a real jerk to everybody. As he said, like an emo chick on her period. It made it clear how he felt about all of them. As in, they're all just jerks and self-absorbed a-holes who bully him. And the only kid he did not insult in any meaningful way was Kenny. Aww.
You're all fake and stuck up, and none of you have the courage to tell Jimmy that his jokes aren't funny. The only kid here with any sense of dignity is Kenny, and the rest of you have your heads up your butts.
Maybe it's because Kenny does bully him, but not as harshly. Maybe he really does respect Kenny deep down, but it's worth pointing out. And when the natives don't approve of Kenny, it's Butters who returns the favor and stands up for him.
Butters, Native Hawaiians don't really approve of howlies coming to their ceremonies.
Oh, please, if it weren't for him, I couldn't have come.
Very well, we shall speak with the chief of our island and see.
In Hawaii, Kenny tries to prove himself to the natives by doing this.
Kenny, be careful!
Quiet. He must face this challenge alone.
I don't know what that is. I still don't know what it is. I know you guys told me, I'm just too lazy to check the comments. But he fails.
Kenny!
I told you a howley couldn't do it. Did you make the turn your first try?
He ends up in Cocoa Palms, where the spirit of Elvis Presley gives him the ingredients for chi-chis, which is not a slang for mommy milkers. Wait, is that why they had chi-chis in the episode? Because Kenny's like a horny dude? And in the end, it's Kenny who saves the native Hawaiians, and he gets honored right alongside Butters. In addition to his own Mahalo rewards card, he even eloquently writes his own writings.
He still seems quite angry at times, but luckily, his ceremony will finally take place on the morrow.
On the morrow? What the is wrong with Kenny?
Wow, simply exquisite. Finally, there's an episode I have yet to talk about, and it's one of the best Kenny episodes to date, the Scoots. Halloween is Kenny's favorite holiday, and how couldn't it be? I mean, it's mine too. But for Kenny, it's because it's the only time of year when everybody is equal, poor or rich. All you have to do is wear whatever you want and go trick-or-treating.
Hey, dude, check it out, I got my pail. Great, cool, you got your pail. Yep.
Aw, that's sweet. But we're also in the era of cell phones and scooters. The kids decide to stock up on as much candy as possible, using the new scooter app.
Sorry.
What the hell? Look at my car, who's gonna pay for...
Sorry, dude.
God damn it, get off the goddamn streets with those things!
Scooters. But being the poor kid and all, Kenny can't afford them, and he's casted out by everybody else, including his own friends.
Look, Kenny, I always told you that one day being poor was going to catch up with you. Okay, but you didn't want to listen. You just kept on being poor, and now it's Halloween, and you don't have a cell phone.
But he's pale. This causes him to find kinship with Mr. Mackey, who also hates the scooters. I do too. They were all over Rockers, and now they're all over my frickin' neighborhood. Unfortunately, Mr. Mackey learns that the scooters have the potential to bring about the apocalypse, because literally every kid will be using them. And when kids don't get candy, they egg and destroy property. He and Mr. Mackey hatch a plan to stop the scooters by taking out a cell phone tower, and on the way there, he tells him something important.
You're a good kid, Kenny. I know we kind of all forget about you sometimes, but you're smart, compassionate. You might even make a good counselor someday.
Aww. Their plan is successful, and Kenny is able to finally have a proper Halloween with his little pail, which he probably got from McDonald's, but it's still a little pail.
And as for me, I was able to spend the rest of the night with my friends, because we were all equal again.
Trick or treat.
Trick or treat.
And likely because Mr. Mackey, aka a guidance counselor, inspired him, he grew up to be one too, even if in the future specials, he's a scientist. Maybe he could have been both. Like a counselor first and then a scientist, and he did donate all of that money to South Park Elementary, but that is Kenny for now, and so far, that's why I can surmise he isn't used as often anymore. He's hard to write for. They already tried to get rid of him once, but they were forced to keep him in. He's hard to write for. They already tried to get rid of him once, but they had to bring him back. However, that does not mean the writers forgot about him. We've gotten lots of great Kenny moments in the modern era. And hey, there's also the future specials, Dick and Boss. I think they could find a better balance though, because these episodes are super spread out, but we can only hope. For now, bye!
Wow.